time is 6:08 p.m. and I'd like to call the special meeting of the GCCISD Board of Trustees to order. Because this is a special meeting, we will dispense with opening exercises and move straight to citizens' participation. Citizens' participation is the time that the board will hear public concerns or public comments from those who have properly signed up to address the board. At regular board meetings, the board shall permit public comment regardless of whether the topic is an item on the agenda posted with notice of meeting. General public comment is limited to no more than 30 minutes per meeting. At all other board meetings, including tonight's, public comment shall be limited to open session items on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. Each speaker is reminded that he or she is limited in his or her presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes, which can further be limited or reduced by the presiding officer, and that he or she should respect confidentiality concerns and refrain from attacking the personal character of any individual student, staff member, or board member in addressing concerns or comments. Pursuant to state law and board policy BE legal, the board cannot consider or take action on concerns at this meeting unless they pertain to an item on the posted agenda for this meeting. Any deliberation or decision on an item that is not posted for consideration at this meeting shall be limited to a proposal to place the subject on the agenda of a future meeting. Another item of business before we begin is, I always forget this, Mr. Sampson, was our meeting properly posted? And do we have a quorum? And for the record, all are present with the exception of Mr. Cotter. And now, since there are only 4 people who have signed up to speak, we will stick with our 3-minute time limit. Our first speaker tonight will be Chuck Rickard.
I believe he has someone that will be speaking on his behalf. Just identify yourself at the podium over here.
All right.
Welcome.
Oh, it does say right here that Connie Perkins.
Yes.
If I read all the words. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I am just reading for Chuck. He's unable to be here tonight, so I will read what he had written out. Okay. The latest return to school update that you sent out yesterday sounds like you can't wait to implement a mask mandate, but the law is preventing you from doing it. You state that you are the safety of all students. Seriously? Are you? How are you doing that? By wanting them to wear these disgusting masks that do not prevent the spread of viruses. COVID poses almost 0% chance risk to children. This is a fact. By wanting our children, these students that you say you are trying to provide a meaningful learning environment, by wanting them to wear a mask is just cruel and causing damage to our young people. The psychological damage that these masks are causing is real. These masks perpetuate the false belief that the air is toxic. Everyone around them is sick. If you don't wear a mask, you're going to kill someone or cause someone to get sick. Also, physical touch is now forbidden. Hugs are not allowed. Children do not need to be thinking these things because, for one, they're not true. Also, how much learning is being hindered by children not being able to see a teacher's face, to not see each other's faces? I would think that the people in charge of the education of our children would know better. They would want better. I'm deeply saddened that the Board of Trustees, Superintendent, and the district's leadership do not care about our precious children. If the governor's order is overruled by some liberal judge, I would hope that these leaders would still do the right thing. But by the way, I read this latest update. I don't think they will. Will we hear that they have to comply with the county judge's order because we might lose funding? Really? I think they care more about money than our children. If this happens and the district implements a mask mandate, I hope there will be a lot of withdrawals of students. The supermoms and dads and grandparents that are here today are fed up with these mandates. You got 1 minute. I'm sure the vaccine mandate is coming next, right? What happened to freedom? Freedom to make our own medical choices. Lastly, you mentioned that the hospitals are overrun. In 2018, when the hospitals were overrun with flu patients, did this district care? Did you care about masks or vaccines then? Our children do not need masks. These masks are not about them. They are about you and trying to make yourselves look good politically. It is sad and disgusting. Do the right thing. Have courage. And my 2 cents is knowledge is power. And remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Our next speaker will be Carrie Rickert.
Thank y'all very much for keeping masks a choice. Be careful of only paying attention to legal battles between state and county because ultimately our medical freedom is God's choice. And I don't think you want to go against him. We all know that media lies to us constantly and we're tired of it. They are pushing lies right now that it's only the unvaccinated people who are filling up hospitals, yet we hear the truth coming out in other places. August 5th, Dr. Haviv of Herzog Hospital said 95% of the severe patients are vaccinated and 85 to 90% of the hospitalizations are fully vaccinated people. Media is still trying to divide us, whether it be vaccine status, masks, or the color of our skin. Yet what they don't get is that we are God's children. We know how to get along no matter what because we possess love. They won't break us. We will not be forced to do anything regarding our own medical choices, no matter how many times they try to bribe us with donuts. We are not dumb. I bring up vaccines because I know that is the ultimate goal. If they only can get us to obey wearing that mask. They want every single person injected with their mystery concoction, no matter what our ages, religious status, or health status. And did y'all know that spontaneous abortion, also called miscarriage, is happening to 84% of pregnant women who decide to take it? That is 84%. That is as of August from the VAERS data and the CDC Wonder. The Constitution of the United States and the Texas Constitution protect us and stand no matter what little battles we are in the middle of. We will not give up our medical freedom and we will not accept a mask mandate on all our kids all day at school ever again like what happened last year. Choice is key here. God gives us the right to choose.
You got 1
and
minute.
no man, lawyer, judge, governor, hospital, or school district is above God. Jesus gets all the glory and praise for our freedom in medical choices.
Every word.
Thank you, Ms. Rickert. Our next speaker will be Brandy Bourne.
Hi, my name is Brandy Bourne. I am the son of a 5-year-old who is about to start attending Carver Elementary School, which is in the GCCISD school district. First and foremost, I want to thank you for the decision that has already been made by this board to stand by Governor Abbott's executive order. The situation has been a very confusing one for the school districts. It has not been clear on who to follow, the state or the local government. I understand the situation is changing each day, so I am here to express my viewpoint. I ask that you stand by the decision that you have made to defend the freedom of choice. It does not go unnoticed by this community. I believe that God's favor rests upon this school district and the city of Baytown as a whole. Your decision reflects that and has secured the favor of God upon our schools. I believe everyone here understands that we really need that favor right now. Over the last year and a half, I have worn a mask in the places that it was mandatory, despite struggling to breathe and severe discomfort. I have dealt with being lightheaded every time I wore it for a long period of time to the point of almost passing out. Now Hidalgo is asking our children to wear these for 8 hours a day, and this is where I draw the line. I cannot stand for this. I am not going to go into the details of the ineffectiveness of masks, as many of you have already heard this information. But I will say that as a parent, I am much more concerned about the physical and psychological ramifications of my child wearing this mask for a long period of time. I am concerned about the mass amount of bacteria that is growing in ideal conditions and the health effects that come from that. This is more alarming than the virus to me. There are studies now showing that the psychological impact of our children not being able to read emotions from facial expressions and fearing everything and everyone around them. Therefore, I am making the choice for my 5-year-old son to not wear a mask. As parents, we should be able to make these medical decisions for our children until they are old enough to make them on our own. That includes wearing a mask and not wearing a mask. So as a Christian, I am asking you to stand on the decision that has already been made to allow masks to be optional for our children. Religious liberty has been protected in this country since its birth. This nation was founded by God-fearing men who understood the power of prayer. This nation prospered because they understood that their obedience to do what God asked would lead to his favor resting upon this country for generations to come. Many men and women have since fought for the freedom that we have now. The one thing I love about living in this state and this city is the freedom to worship God. Worshiping God also includes doing so with our bodies. We are created in his image and his likeness. God has given us the free will to make choices for our families. You now have a choice in front of you that affects many families. We refuse to fear this virus or allow our children to live in fear of it. God told us in his word, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. We are here today because we understand that giving up one liberty leads to giving up more for the greater good. If we do not fight this battle now with the mask mandate, if we do not choose to stand up for what we believe in, we take the chance of losing it all. We are here to defend the liberty that has been given to us by God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bourne. Our final speaker this evening will be Mr. Harvey Ponder.
I'd like to thank y'all for giving us the opportunity to speak on this delicate matter. It is not lost on me the tremendous amount of pressure that you all are under concerning the masking of our Goose Creek schools. And I applaud your decision to abide by Governor Abbott's executive order as well as the Texas Supreme Court ruling. Thank you. Science can be defined as prediction, observation, and repetition. In March of 2020, we were told to give us 2 weeks to flatten the curve, follow the guidelines of the CDC and other governmental mandates. Those mandates have changed repeatedly every few days from then till now. Yesterday, the current administration is pushing the CDC to recommend a third vaccine, and today the CDC recommended a third vaccine. With such inconsistent, contradictory answers and recommendations, how can anyone say follow the science? There is no science in differing variables or unobserved, unpredicted outcomes. I do not doubt the seriousness of this China virus, nor do I doubt the effectiveness of the mask. The simple fact that there are many websites giving different and multiple data points demonstrates the lack of science. A doctor cannot mandate any medical device, procedure, or treatment. How can an elected official do so? I find it interesting that any medical professional who has an opinion differing from the authorized one is completely and publicly chastised, vilified, and or censored. I was advised to give my then 8-year-old daughter, 8 years old,
1 minute,
a root canal. I immediately got a second opinion, and she was given a filling. That was 10 years ago. She's a senior at Goose Creek now. So much for science. I have 2 girls who attend Goose Creek Memorial High School and 2 grandbabies that attend Crockett Elementary, all of which are very near and dear to me. All of my children were made in the image and likeness of Almighty God. Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them." Ladies and gentlemen, God gave my children to me. They are mine. They are my responsibility. I allow you to educate them, and I thank you for that. But they are my responsibility, not yours, not anybody else's, but mine.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ponder. We will now move to item 3A, consider of extension of COVID pay days. Dr. O'Brien?
Yes, this evening we have Mr. Chapa to present to us the COVID pay recommendation from HR. This is a modified recommendation based upon what we did last year. We believe this will provide a benefit to, well, let me just let Mr. Chapa tell us about it.
This is an extension of the resolution that we had last year, and it's really being presented to the board as a benefit to our employees for those that may be testing positive, awarding them after they show proof of being positive, awarding them 5 days of those leaves.
Administration would entertain any questions the board may have at this time. Otherwise, we recommend approval of this extension of 5 additional COVID days for all employees.
And we'll continue to monitor that as the pandemic decreases or increases, if we need to extend it for any type of period of time or stop it at any period of time.
Any questions? Would you go through, opposed to what we did last year, this year we're going to have a few more requirements, is that correct? Like,
yes, sir.
You must bring us a certified diagnosis.
That is correct. And we're going to need to have that certified positive condition of COVID in order for you to be qualified for those additional 5 days.
And those days will be used after local days and state days are depleted, or in concurrence, or employee's
It's my
choice?
understanding that they will be used concurrently. Yes, sir.
So employee's choice, essentially?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a question. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but they're doing away, and I know you're not doing it, but they did away with the PCR test. How are they going to know that they have COVID? They've done away with that.
Well, testing's still available today.
So I was just curious.
Yes, sir.
We're no longer in the citizens' participation portion of our meeting, so please keep your comments to yourself. Thank you.
But I do want to clear up one thing. The COVID day will go in substitution of a personal day. Of the 5 personal days, the 5 state days, 5 personal days, when an employee uses a personal day, the COVID day will slide into that spot until those 5 COVID days are utilized.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Seek a motion?
I'll move to approve. And I'll second her motion.
All right, I have a motion from Mrs. Guy and a second from Ms. Woods that we approve the COVID leave as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Seeing 6 for and 1 absent, none against, the motion passes. 3B, considered modification to Safe Return to School Plan. Dr. O'Brien?
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Bollinger and Ms. Meyer here this evening to present to us the slight verbal modification to the Safe Return to School plans and to entertain any conversation or discussion with the Board of Trustees at this time.
Okay, good evening, Board of Trustees, also Dr. O'Brien. We do want to provide a quick update regarding the Safe Return to School plan, and really just provide an update on just what has transpired over the last week. We know there's been a lot of changes regarding the county mandate versus the governor's executive order, so we just wanted to provide a little bit of clarity from our perspective. So hopefully this will be short and sweet. Our first bullet is that issues related to mask mandates are in active litigation even as we speak, and the Texas Supreme Court, as most of us probably know, are going through and making decisions based off of various counties throughout the state, such as Dallas County, Travis County, also Harris County. And so because of the pending litigation that is occurring at this time, Goose Creek CISD is currently waiting for Supreme Court direction before we make any changes to our Safe Return to School plan. And so at this time, we are upholding the legality of the governor's executive order. We are complying with that order. And we also wanted to make sure that we send a consistent message to our community. So we know that based off the county's mandate last week, that there were several districts that made an announcement to follow that. And because it was confusing for districts, and we consulted with our attorneys to make sure that we were doing what we needed to do. So we announced on Friday that we are waiting to see what happens over the weekend, because we knew that the county decision went to a court of appeals, and then it was, it moved further up the change to the Texas Supreme Court. So we were just following that and seeing what transpired. And based off the feedback that we've received, based off the Attorney General's comments, there's a high likelihood that the decision that was applied to Dallas County will also be applied throughout the state. So that being said, we're at this time, we're implementing the governor's executive order. Based on recommendations from our local health authorities, we have several local partners that we consult with, including Houston Methodist Baytown, MD Anderson. We talk to local doctors, local professionals. We are updating our messaging, and this was in the statement that we sent out, that we are strongly recommending the use of masks while indoors in the school setting. We have received a lot of calls from parents, as you can imagine, on the mask mandate. Several parents are, as we've heard tonight, are not in favor of it. Other parents and families are very much in favor of it. And so we want to make sure that we're sensitive to all of our families and that we are reaching out and doing what we can. So we are changing the messaging in that regard. Also, our last bullet is we are, our obligation is to follow the law, and our obligation is to ensure a safe environment. So we want to make sure that as we start the school year, that we started on a positive note. And so just wanted to provide a quick update on that matter. On our website, we do have our Safe Return to School plan, so any family member or staff member can jump on the website and see just what's required. We've been talking with our school leaders, making sure that we're implementing what we said we were going to implement. Also, our COVID dashboard, which is our main tool for communicating positive COVID cases at each campus for staff and students, that will be activated tomorrow. So if there's a family member who is interested or concerned that, on the number of positive COVID cases that have been reported to the district, then each day that will be updated. And we're going to follow the same system that we followed last year with our color-coded system, similar to Harris County's response levels. So that's our update. And at this time, I know that the board may want to have a discussion or any questions. We'll be happy to attempt to answer those.
I would just want to make a statement to the audience that we listen to everyone, and right now the community's provided a lot of feedback through phone calls and emails and things of that nature. The current feedback we've received is about 2-to-1 measure in favor of not mandating masks. That doesn't mean there aren't constituents in our very community that want us to have a mask order in place. There's many, but it's 2-to-1 currently is what the feedback has been coming from our community. So I wanted the board to be aware of that.
Any questions or comments?
So on this, we aren't. So tomorrow, when kids go back to school, are they going to have to wear masks?
It's up to them and their parents.
It's not mandated.
It's optional.
So on this board, are we going to trace kids? Are we going to let them have an option to come to school without a mask or not? I'm not talking about just putting something on the board. If I got 3 kids in a class and you got 22 kids in the class, are we going to trace all of these kids? Because you got 3 out of 22, and you're talking about kids that are going to be with other kids, and then kids going home to their parents, and little brothers, little sisters. And, I know of a family where moms got vaccinated, but husband didn't. now you got a 7-month-old baby with COVID, and you got a 7-year-old with COVID, and you got a 9-year-old with COVID. So this all came from two individuals that didn't want to get vaccinated. So we're just going to leave it up to the kids to decide whether or not they get a mask or not.
That's the governor's order.
Well, but the governor's order has been changed.
It's been changed back.
But the governor has COVID now.
That's correct.
You know,
ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. But that ain't what we were going to hear from parents when a child dies, a child gets sick, or somebody in the household gets sick. What you going to say, that happens?
Well, you know, I respect your opinion and your discussion, and you bring up a good point. But in my opinion, my understanding is that the flu is worse than COVID for kids, and we don't trace them. So,
well,
I mean,
the flu has been around for a long time.
Exactly.
This hasn't been around for a long time.
Exactly.
So what we're saying is we're going to just say, oh, okay, you tell your kid don't wear a mask if you don't want to. And then we got teachers, we got administrators, we got custodial people, we got all these people in the school that could possibly get infected. What if GCM gets infected and you got to close the school down?
So, Mr. Sampson, I can help answer a few of those. So one, while it is a personal choice to wear a mask, again, we've updated our messaging to say that we're strongly encouraging that. Parents can also request a death shield, which is another layer of protection. Also, I think it's important to know if a child has been exposed to COVID in the household, then they can move to temporary remote learning for a period of up to 20 days, but it's 10 days technically. And so if I know that I've been exposed, then that child can stay home. And we're not, at this time, virtual instruction has not been funded. I think that's in the special session for legislation as well. So we're pending that outcome as well. But there are some options, probably not the exact option that you want, but there are some options that we're hoping will prevent some of the things that you're sharing.
And one of the things, just an important piece of this, is communication between the parent, their wishes in regards for their student, for their child, to the teacher, to the campus. The teacher will enforce the parent's wishes upon that child. If your regard is they go home with a mask, leave the home with a mask, and then get there and take it off, if we know the parent's wishes for that juvenile are to wear a mask, then the teachers will be inclined to enforce that parent wish for that student. But as it stands right now, the law does not require masks.
So if the law changes and then they require masks, are we going to require masks then?
So right now, you're better suited to speak to this.
Sure.
But it's sitting with the Texas Supreme Court. There is not a higher court in the state. So the only thing that would trump that would be a federal mandate or something of that nature.
Yeah, and I think that if that were to happen, based off the counsel that we've received, that's unlikely to happen. But in the event that does happen, we'll definitely have to reassess because our obligation is to follow the law. And so I think that's something we would.
Our whole thing was getting kids back into school, get them in safely. Wearing a mask is safe. Then if they in school, they still got their socialization, but they're wearing a mask. And they're not walking around infecting everybody in school. Are we going to test kids when they come into the school? We're not going to check them for fever or see if they positive or anything like that?
No, we're not testing the students as they come into school. We do have a self-health assessment where, and we've sent it out several times, and we'll continue to send it out, where we're asking our parents if there are any symptoms whatsoever to keep your child at home. And that's what we also implemented last year, and we're also indicating that for our staff as well.
Many of these protocols are already in place based upon the practice that we established for last school year.
Correct.
So we're going on the honor system. Basically, that's what you're saying.
We are, and we're also sending a very strong message to follow that, because if a child, and we do have protocols in place as well, if a child shows up to school and they are showing symptoms, then our nurse addresses that situation expediently to make sure that they're sent home as soon as possible.
Yeah, but, I heard someone say, what if, but what if children get sick and everything comes back here to us saying, why didn't you have a little bit stricter situation for us wearing masks?
Well, let me echo the words of the governor. He says personal medical responsibility. We live in America. They're free to do what they want to do. We can't force it on them, just like Lena Hidalgo can't tell us what to do. We're elected officials. We do and make decisions here that we need to make.
We're elected officials, but we are not getting paid to be official. We are here for the kids.
Whether we're getting paid or not, yes, I agree with you.
We're here for the kids.
I agree with you.
If you lose that, then you might as well not be on the board if you're not here for the kids.
Again, listen to me. I respect the governor's.
I'm listening.
Okay, but you're talking as you're
I'm
trying.
listening.
I'm saying that I respect the governor's choice.
I respect the governor too.
Okay.
But the governor in this situation is in a situation where we have to be the ones that deal with
No, you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. You're wrong.
No, the governor's right.
You're wrong.
It's not about me.
But
it's about what the governor.
But you're repeating what the governor's saying.
Exactly, because he's the governor. He's a paid governor, like you said.
It doesn't matter if he's the governor.
But you just said it did matter if they're paid.
If the governor is not making the right decision.
He's making the right decision.
And the Supreme Court.
Howard Sampson does not tell the governor he's making the wrong decision.
You don't tell the governor he's making the right decision.
I didn't.
I can say this.
Going by what he said.
No, but I'm going by what we need to say.
No, we don't need to say. I'm not French. You don't include me in your decision.
No, you don't include me into your and the governor's decision.
It's not my decision. The governor's.
Mr. Bollinger, would you continue?
Sure.
Gentlemen, give Mr. Bollinger the floor, please.
And I can say that, this topic is very emotional, obviously, and we've been dealing with it at its heightened state over the last week with our parents. And our parents are very concerned, and our parents also have opinions one way or the other regarding the mask mandate. So what I can say, Mr. Sampson, is we're strongly encouraging the use of masks, and without the mandate, we are sending out that message, and we're trusting our parents that they will ensure that their child has a mask if that's what they desire. I can also tell you that with a vaccine clinic that we're also sending that message out to. We're offering a vaccine clinic for parents who want to take advantage of that on Saturday at Alamo Elementary as well. So we're again, I know it's a heated topic, but at the same time, we're trying to navigate the waters as a unified school district and make sure that we're doing what we can.
And it is the state who has provided the funding for the PPE, the masks, the hand sanitizers, gloves, if requested or desired. All of that is being provided by the state. So there is support to institute safety protocols. The debate here, even up here tonight, is between whether the mask should be mandated or optional. Right. And that's the debate in our community. That's the debate across America.
Let me ask this one question. How many people in this room haven't taken a vaccine?
I don't think you can.
You can't ask that.
I don't think that's enough.
You can, but they don't have to answer you.
But I'm saying, have you taken a vaccine?
That's my business, not your business.
That's not an appropriate question.
Yeah, it may be pertinent at this point. It may be pertinent at this point for all sides to know that the Attorney General is sending letters now to local superintendents that are defying his order, the governor's order, and threatening legal action, including injunctive relief. I'm reading from the letter he sent to HISD superintendent. Injunctive relief, cost and attorney's fees, penalties, and sanctions, including contempt of court, and anything available at law against any local jurisdiction and employees that persist in enforcing local mask mandates. With that said, we're being threatened if we don't follow the governor's order. And right now, I think that's what our responsibility is no matter what our personal opinions are.
And I agree with that.
So I appreciate something Mr. Sampson said. We should be here for the kids, and ultimately, that's the only reason we're here. But to the point of following the letter of the law, what Mr. Clem just said was the penalty for Goose Creek CISD, and for example, for violating the governor's order would be to the tune of about $3 million a day. We could be dissolved within a month if we were to be charged with the penalties across the district for every violation. So there's something more to it than just following the letter of the law. It's keeping the financial stability for this school district here for years to come, for our community, to serve our community well in the future. And we believe the Safe Return to School plan will enable children and adults alike to be safe on our campuses. So,
Ms. Myers, I know you're here for moral support, but did you have anything to add?
Good evening. So just to some of the things that have already been discussed, that we do have strong protocols in place. And so for children who have been exposed, because it's likely we will have children that will test positive in the classroom, as well as staff, we do have strict protocols in place that if we ask them or recommend them to wear their mask if you've been exposed, monitor yourself for symptoms, and keep your distance. And so if you become symptomatic at any time, we do ask for them to stay at home, follow up with their healthcare physician, and then schedule a test. That's for staff and also for students. So there are some mitigation strategies in place to make sure that we're trying to keep everybody safe throughout the rest of, for this school year and moving forward.
Thank you. Good. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Anything else on this item before we move on from any board member? All right. The board will now recess into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 072, 073, 074, 75, 76, 082, 083, 084, and 087. No action will be taken while the board is in closed meeting. The time is 6:45. Everybody back? All right. The time is now 9:22 p.m. No decisions were made while the board was in closed session. We will now reconvene and take action item 3E, consider and take possible action regarding the superintendent's evaluation, amendment to superintendent contract, and related actions. Let's take the evaluation instrument first, please.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's evaluation and amend. Can I do that too, or do you want to take that separate?
We may take it all together.
All right, and amend the superintendent's contract as discussed in executive session. I'll second.
I have a motion from Mrs. Woods and a second from Mrs. Guy that the board approve the superintendent's evaluation and amendment to the superintendent's contract as discussed in closed session. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Seeing 6 for, 1 absent, and none against, the motion passes. And now we would seek a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And all opposed say no. Motion passes. We are adjourned at 9:24 p.m.